Hello and welcome to another in our series of Accelerate Her interviews with fabulous female founders. Today I'm joined by Rachel Jones from SnapDragon, and Rachel was one of the winners of the 2019 AccelerateHER Awards. Hi Rachel, how are you?
Hi, great to see you. Very good, thank you.
Good stuff. Tell us a little bit about SnapDragon.
Of course, I'd be delighted to, thank you. So SnapDragon fights fakes online. Our software is monitoring the world's busiest online marketplaces and social media sites, identifying copies and counterfeits of our clients' brands. The reason for doing this is to protect reputations and revenues, but most importantly, the end consumer. Think fake cosmetics or fake brake pads, and it's a concern. You can be scarred for life. So it's very fast and efficient. We identify the listings, and then the client or ourselves can take them down, and listings can come down in as little as 5 minutes. So speed and efficiency means that we're democratizing online brand protection, and it's available to all.
That's excellent. That's a nice snappy introduction to SnapDragon. Fantastic. When I first came across you, Rachel, this really fascinated me. The first one being that you showed your own story, of course, is that you had a product that was copied by someone. It was a seat for babies to sit at the table. And the thing that really got me was, how on earth could you tell it was a fake?
Well, I think this is the problem with fakes. Online, you often can't tell it's a fake. So the only reason that I knew we had a fake of my product was that it was seized at customs and sent up to me, and I saw it. But online, the consumer is quite often just trapped into thinking this is a really, really good deal. But if it's too good a deal to be true, then it usually isn't true. So we're always saying to people, do think before you click.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will confess as well, and this is the second thing I was going to say that you taught me in life, I guess, is I always thought, well, so it's a fake, so, you know, as long as I'm willing to accept it might be a little bit poorer quality, what's wrong with buying that cheap watch off the person in the beach in the Spanish islands or whatever? But you pointed out where these people are spending the money that they make from these, and that really shocked me.
Yeah, it is a big problem, actually. So fakes contribute $500 billion a year to the global economy. So that's a lot of money. And most people who are involved in big counterfeiting are also involved in illicit trade, which is drug trafficking, people trafficking, prostitution, and terrorism. So there's a real reason to not buy fake products, because it is funding the wrong kind of purse. And it really matters, and actually it happens on our own doorsteps. So yeah, it isn't just about accepting something of less good quality than you would want, but actually the money is going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, that's horrific, and I for one will never be buying fakes again, so thank you for that lesson.
Well, thank you for not buying fakes again. I mean, it really matters, but people don't know, so it is important to do as much as we can to raise awareness of the issue.
Absolutely, and I guess I should say I'll never knowingly buy them, but it is quite easy to be have the wool pulled over your eyes sometimes, I think. And in this world of fakes, what's the craziest or most brass neck fake that you've come across over time?
So I was thinking about this question, and actually I'm too embarrassed to tell you. Fakes of everything exist, from everything you'd expect to everything you wouldn't. I think the oddest thing I discovered was that fish food was faked, but I worry much more about fake bicycle and car components and cosmetics. I mean, as I said before, they look like a good deal, but they just are not. Yeah.
I mean, you know, a fake brake could cause an accident and you know, untold damage to your skin with your cosmetics. So yeah, very, very serious business there. And so you were a winner of the 2019 AccelerateHER Awards way back in the day when we could all get together and hold finals face to face. What's been happening since then, Rachel?
Well, the business has grown 115% over the last year, which is fantastic.
Wow.
And our customer base has expanded internationally, and the team has also expanded. Software being used by more and more brands around the world, large and small, which is really important because originally I invented it for SMEs, but actually bigger brands are using it as well. The last few months have been challenging, definitely, but a great team, constant communication, resilience, and a pivot to use our skills in analysing supply chains for a government has been, you know, really key to still being here today. So, yeah.
Wow, yeah, it's interesting. So many people are having to pivot, but it's people like yourself that can pivot that are going to stick around and last it out. You mentioned before we started recording there, Rachel, that you're actually in the office today.
I
Is it
am.
just yourself that's in the office, or do you have some of your team there with you?
There are 5 of us here today. And we've got a big office, there's plenty of space. Everybody is happy to be in. Nobody's been forced to come in. So anybody who would like to come is very welcome.
Good stuff. And you say the team's expanded globally. Does that mean you've got staff based all around the world now, or is it all coming from your wee hub here in Scotland?
Everybody's still either in Edinburgh or Shetland, but we speak more languages than we did a year ago, as we've brought more international people into the team, which is wonderful. But we are still based in Edinburgh, which is key.
Fab, excellent. So how many years has SnapDragon been going for now then?
We started trading in 2015.
2015. So your 5-year anniversary, is that under your belt, or is that later this year that comes?
Yes, later this year, yeah.
Yeah, need to have a big party to celebrate
yes,
that.
well, that's the whole point. Hang on to the party so we can have a party, yeah.
Exactly, yes. So in those 5 years and prior to that, what have you learned? Do you have any advice for aspiring female founders out there?
Well, I will say that I think women juggle beautifully. And if you can juggle and you have an idea which will make money and you will prove that people will actually pay for, that you are up for working every hour of the day, you're prepared for setbacks, you're prepared to raise money in a man's world, because it's very difficult to raise money if you're a woman. But if you're passionate, determined, optimistic and resilient, you should give it a go, because actually it's much better to give it a go than to just dream about giving it a go. And it absolutely may well work, and if it doesn't work, you'll have learned something and you can move on to something else. So it's just better to give it a go if you can prove people will pay for what you're trying to do, assuming that it is a business where you need to make a profit.
Yeah, well, that's really good advice. It's better to give it a go than to dream about giving it a go. I'm going to take that with me.
And I'd also just add that it's useful to have a mentor or somebody that you can be honest with when the chips are down. But I don't think that necessarily has to be anybody necessarily in business or high powered, but just somebody who is open and honest and can give you pragmatic advice and a good ear.
Oh, yeah, sound advice. And how did you find your mentor, Rachel?
Well, I was lucky enough to have my mother as my mentor.
Oh, fab.
Which my late mother, she's been dead for a while now, but she gave me and inspired resilience, optimism and common sense. And she was an original Oxford Blue Stocking in the 50s. And then when we were children, she put herself through a number of degrees, including an MBA at night school, and set up a business. But she was just incredibly sensible and pragmatic about everything, and challenging and sensible, but brilliant, and kind of cut through the crap, which was just brilliant. So she was my absolute inspiration, and remains to this day. But there are loads of other people around, but just from a kind of very practical point of view and what you learn when you're growing up, and to keep your feet on the ground and be sensible and always say thank you. Those are the things that I learned from her.
Excellent, and it does sound like the apple hasn't fallen very far from the tree, so that's wonderful. I'm going to pick you up on one of the things you said about it, being willing to raise money in a man's world and how challenging you found that. What do you think is the main challenge there for you, Rachel? Is it not being taken seriously, or?
Well, I don't know, but one penny in every pound goes to businesses with female founders, as we all know. And once you get to a certain age, which I have clearly got to, then that figure is even less. I think one of the problems is that the city and investment businesses attract bright young things out of uni, and there are a lot of young men in that space, and they're all totally charming and totally delightful, but actually come along as a 50+ woman and they all think, they think, oh, it's my mother. And you're just, the fact that I might actually have some business experience and done something before, you're fighting back against that. So I think that if you're looking for equity investment, it's something that you need to be aware of most definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's true.
Yeah, and that's why Jackie set up Investing Women Angels. We are a female-only angel group, and there is scientific evidence of that echo effect, that where you have more female investors, more female founders get investment. And I think I'm right in saying 83% of our money has gone to teams with female founders. So we're pretty proud of that fact, and we just hope the world keeps changing to make it easier for people like you. Rachel, I want to finish up by asking you, I've decided I want to start compiling a female founders hall of fame with people that, you're a fabulous female founder yourself, but who would you put in that hall of fame? I have an inkling from a previous answer that I might know who that is, but do tell.
I would put my mother in it. I absolutely would. I mean, she became an expert on an 18th century chemist. And not particularly a business person, but she would be right there. But I went into my business before this because I had read Sahar Hashimi's book on founding the Coffee Republic, which was called Anyone Can Do It. And actually it's a really, really good read, and she deserves a bit more credit than she gets. I've never met her, but actually she inspired me to set up Totsi, which eventually led to SnapDragons. So there we are, there's 2 for you.
Oh, terrific. 2 for 1. I like that. I'll get a link for that book you mentioned, and we'll put that in the details to the video here as well. Rachel, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I could talk all afternoon, but we both better get on with the other stuff that we have to do. So thanks very much for your time.
Well, thank you very much indeed for chatting to me. It was lovely to see you again.
Yes, and you. All it remains is for me to thank our sponsors for AccelerateHER. That's the Scottish Government and Scotland Can Do, Barclays Eagle Labs and CGI UK. As ever, if you want to see more videos like this, please do hit that subscribe button down below and hit the bell to get notifications as well. Thanks for joining us, Rachel. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Thanks very much.